So I think the enactment of the Act number 5 of 2018, the Enforced Disappearances Convention Act, is I think one of the most important pieces of legislation. It seeks to punish persons in the future who are involved in enforced disappearances. But that act also contains certain important provisions relating to detention centers, relating to access of a detainee to his lawyers, to relatives, and in fact the law requires immediate access to be given to relatives, to lawyers, so on. And then there have to be records maintained of people being detained. So all these provisions are to prevent to ensure that there is no non-recurrence. But together with that, I think part of non-recurrence, it is important that there is acknowledgement that these events, that these incidents happen. And we know that there is a reluctance on the part of the state, on the part of the authorities, to admit or to acknowledge that these have happened.
What measures and initiatives have been taken by the Sri Lankan government or relevant institutions to address or to promote non-recurrence among the community?
Yes, so I think making the community aware of what has transpired. I think the two key matters which I would say in 2017-2018 which the state did was, one, the establishment of the Office on Missing Persons, and as I mentioned earlier, the enactment of the Enforced Disappearances Act. So the Office of Missing Persons also, its focus is on discovering the truth, but it has to also take measures to ensure non-recurrence, as well as to take measures to acknowledge in the form of memorialization. So these are measures which are taken. So the Office on Missing Persons initially began preparing a list of the disappeared, tabling the complaints which had been made to it and other state authorities. So I think preparing the list of the missing, list of the disappeared, is also an important way to ensure, to get the state to acknowledge, not only state but other actors also to acknowledge that these things happen.
What sort of constitutional amendments should happen in the future?
I do not know whether a constitutional amendment is required, but certainly I think institutions need to be strengthened. I think if we want to ensure non-recurrence, we need to ensure that those actors who were responsible for disappearances in the past do not get an opportunity to do that again. So we know that those responsible for disappearances include state actors, including the police, the security forces, and of course there have been non-state actors also who have been responsible for enforced disappearances. So we must prevent those actors from getting an opportunity to commit these acts once again. So that the importance of that, I would say, is to strengthen institutions, including the police, to ensure that the monitoring of the police, to ensure that they comply with legal provisions. Those must be ensured. And we know that although there are laws in Sri Lanka, sometimes in their compliance, in effectiveness, there is a gap. So one major problem is, I think, especially where institutions such as the security apparatus, Sri Lanka police is concerned, is that although legislation is in place, sometimes practicing those laws, implementing those laws, there is a lacuna. And I think that is what has to be filled. And for that you need strong institutions, good people appointed to man those institutions. People who are committed, those who are committed to human rights, those who are committed to following the procedure established by law. And that, I think, is key.
What are the other measures that could be taken?
So I think the measures are, as I said, one is you have to strengthen the OMP. So the OMP is also empowered to go into detention centers, examine detention centers. In fact, In 2018 or 2019, the Minister of Justice promulgated rules for the OMP where it was necessary to carry out searches. So I think one important way to prevent non-recurrence is also to strengthen the Office on Missing Persons, to ensure that that persons who are appointed are competent, that it has officers who are trained, and that it is allowed to carry out its mandate. And there I must emphasize that the role of these institutions is not merely to close up files, but to ensure that they perform their mandate. So where the OMP is concerned, its mandate is also to get at the truth. I think getting at the truth is important because it is only if you discover what has happened, if you acknowledge what has happened, that you would ensure that it does not take place, these do not take place in the future.